Hi guys, so today we're going to start with a mystical shaman oracle, and today's is number 45 with the seer. I love this card. I think it's beautiful. So the essence says, the seer represents the capacity to reach beyond the obvious details of life into the hidden realms where information is available to those with a discernment to perceive it. This symbol represents psychic perception, intuition, and the capacity to know something without prior exposure. The seer knows truth, always seeks truth beyond all else, and sees reality as it truly is without judgment. The seer can read between the lines and understand what's not being said. He represents, or she, the power of clarity and being able to recognize patterns. And the invitation says, the seer invites you to trust your intuition and follow it as it leads you forward. You may feel lost when it appears that your hunch is taking you in circles and even through a maze, but the hidden realms don't follow the rules of the two-dimensional map. Trust your gut and allow your perception of your circumstances to widen, to include the nuances and subtle cues that you normally miss if you take things at face value. The seer has gifted you with this magic. You are exactly where you are supposed to be. Your vision is clear. I just love that card. I think it's beautiful. And so, yeah, I feel like this is saying, and especially if you look at some of these other cards, which I just did the regular Rider-Waite today, it's been a while. And as you can see, we have the High Priestess as where we're at in this energy at this time. And she's joined by the star in this first row. And I feel like this is saying that we are having the clarity, right? The clarity of our intuition. We're able to kind of see things like the seer says, right? At a higher level. And with the star, I feel like this is saying allowing yourself to trust your intuition helps you put things into action, into like inspired action. Because the star is being hopeful and, you know, having that understanding, being through all the things that we've gone through on this journey. Once we get to the star, there's a lot of intuitive knowledge, and we see it enacting in our life, and we see how it creates the things that we want to happen, and how sometimes it creates things that we don't want to happen. And we kind of learn how to work with it, right? So once we get there, I feel like that's what this is saying. We're at a point where we're understanding how that faith and intuition work together for inspired action. So maybe this is somebody that's working on something. Maybe this is bigger. I don't know. And then my row of what we need to work on, what we need to focus on, we have the King of Wands, and then we have the Emperor. So, which seems like, you know, maybe there's a lot of fire in this person. I don't know. So the King of Wands is kind of like the Emperor before the Emperor, right? But the Emperor is where he's incorporating all the kings within. And the King of Wands is a very passionate and inspired leader. He's kind of, embraces the Wands energy. He's very passionate. He's very intuitive. He's very spiritual. So this is somebody who rules, and they rule in a very passionate and spirited way, right? What he does kind of lack sometimes is a little bit of the groundedness that you would find in the Emperor. But the Emperor, at the same time, sometimes the Emperor, and I hate saying this because I happen to be an Aries, but sometimes there's a little bit of needing to have control and maybe being a little too stubborn, right? So I feel like with these two, I think we need to kind of tap into like being that strong leader that both of these leaders are, but doing it in a balanced way to where you're definitely embracing that spirituality and that passion, but you're doing it in a more grounded and stronger leadership way. And I believe that that's very possible. And then when we have our third row, that's the row of, you know, what we have around us, our assets, the people around us, what kind of things we have in ourselves that we just maybe don't use. It's our assets and our helpers, right? So we have the Page of Cups. So the Page of Cups is somebody who's very energetic in the creative and spiritual sense. This is somebody that's like, it's kind of like when we first see like those synchronicities, and I always use this all the time, but it's kind of funny because it's like when you kind of notice that, oh wait, hey, there's something really cool about this. And I feel like sometimes we get that way. That's that passion, right? That youthful glow you get when you kind of understand things at a different level, but not quite as deeply, right? And then we have it's like youthful enthusiasm, sorry. And then you have the Seven of Cups, which sometimes can be confusing, but I also like to feel like this is having a lot of choices, especially since it's cups, and this is kind of like something that we have in our tool belt. And pairing that with the Page of Cups, I feel like this is saying that using that enthusiasm that whoever this is, or whether this is a collective, to kind of help us make those choices. Or that's saying kind of like, well, we have many choices because of the fact that, you know, we're so excited about this, and we're so looking at this in this beginner type of excited mindset, right? And so the last row, I have kind of like whether it's like our outcome, or sometimes it's kind of just like a summary of like where we're headed. And so the Three of Pentacles, and if you hear stuff in the background, I'm in my basement and that's my washing machine. But anyway, so the Three of Pentacles is you know, sometimes it's collaboration, sometimes it is crafting your masterpiece. But it can also be allowing people to help you, which I feel like, and combination with the Ten of Wands, this is kind of a little bit of both. I feel like with the Ten of Wands, he is, you know, gathering all these things, he's done all this work, and sometimes it feels like it's a lot of hard work, but at the end of it is this beautiful harvest. And with the Three of Pentacles, you're working on something. This is some type of you know, masterpiece or creation you're doing. And with all that cup energy right before it that we can use, and our intuitive abilities and our leadership abilities, I feel like this is really saying that there's something beautiful, and it's whatever it is, what be it your journey, something creative, or a relationship, whatever this is for you, this is something that you've been crafting for a long time, and you've kind of mastered that, right? So we're at this point, this threshold, if you will, where we're ready to reap that, and that is really going to be shown in our masterpiece. The Three of Pentacles can also be saying that too. It's the amount of work that you've done, the energy and the effort that you've done, you know, internally, can show in your craftsmanship. So that's another aspect that that kind of card means. And so then we go to the Liminal Forrest Oracle, and I got two bear cards, which I thought was kind of cool. So maybe bears mean something to somebody. But we have rumination and we have competition, and right there that just tells me that and along with those Three of Pentacles also, I feel like this is saying that don't, you know, we need to stop worrying about like competition. This is your own thing. This is your own masterpiece. This is your own essence, right? So we're not supposed to be like, you know, worried about what other people are doing, or they're going to be better than us at it. You know, I think the beauty in a lot of things that we're in right now, especially spiritually and collectively, I feel like there's this beautiful conversation happening all the time, whether back and forth or just people expressing. That's really the essence of who they are, and it adds so much. There's like this beautiful salad that we're creating, and it's open and expressive, and it's very I'm trying to look for the right word. It's very like we learn from each other, right? And we're also connecting on a big, huge level. So I think that's awesome. And then I have two Moonology oracles, and then we have North Node with Step Out of Your Comfort Zone, because if you're not familiar with what your North Node is, that is the point in your birth chart where your soul's kind of going towards, right? This is what your South Node is, kind of where you've already been. It kind of talks about things that you've brought with you from past lives, or things that you've learned along the way, and then you kind of integrate them with your North Node, which is a different, you know, aspect of yourself that you're really supposed to embrace in this lifetime. And then we have full moon in Scorpio, and it says it's time to let go of negativity. It's time to get rid of that negativity, and I feel like that's really important, especially with that rumination and competition, because that's really not how we progress. I feel like for a long time that's kind of how, you know, things have gotten to this point when you think of society too, not to be a downer, but that's kind of what it is, you know, what I can do better than you and what I can get from you. So we need to kind of drop that mindset if we really want things to work in our favor. Which is interesting because we actually have, with the astrology dice, we actually have North Node. And then we have a number 4, so maybe your North Node is in your 4th house. Your 4th house is the area of your stability and your family connections. It's the place that you find comfort, and you build that, that feeling that we're all looking for, right? Or maybe the number 4 means something to you, something in that aspect, doesn't have to. And then we have our Herbal Astrology Oracle. The first one is number 25 with Cat's Claw, Purification. And this one is ruled by Mars and Pluto. So if you think about it, that's the Tower card. And it says, rewriting the story, connecting to heritage, belonging, worthiness, safety, connecting to your origins, and DNA purification, which to me kind of feels like your 4th house. And then we have Black Panther energy in this card. So if there's anything like that kind of speaks to you, maybe this is something you need to embody. And then we have Milk Thistle for number 23, our next card, and Peaceful Warrior. And this is Mars and the Moon. So if you have, Scorpio or Aries as your moon, or maybe this just, embodies you in a different way. Upright, it means peaceful warrior, shield, truth keeper, shelter, sanctuary, safekeeping, and justice. Yeah, so this whole thing kind of really speaks to me as saying that, we've kind of gained a lot of knowledge, and we're using our intuition in inspired action. And we kind of need to be wary of kind of controlling the outcome so much, or worrying about what other people are doing. It's more about concentrating on your path and understanding where you are with that, and whether this is a creation, your spiritual life, or something in that matter. Your masterpiece is, being created out of all these things. So I really feel like this is saying, dropping that negativity, take that leap of faith, as they always say, right? And trust your intuition, put that into action. And yeah, so I hope this helps somebody today, and I thank you so much for listening.